Research Center. Alice Design, 1960 JH headquarters, IBM Research. Deep inside the building, through the endless corridor and the security gate, guarded by the iris scanners, and where the company scientist is hard at work developing what is IBM Director Research. Dario Gere told me the next branch of computing, quantum computers. I was in the Wilson Center previewed IBM update technique low-made for achieving large-scale practiced quantum computing. Involve a great deal of the talk about the qubit counts, quantum coherence, error mitigations, software, or translation, other topic. You need to be the electric engineering with a background in the computer science and familiarity quantum mechanics to fully follow. I'm not any of these things, but I have watched the quantum computer space long enough to know that is work being done here by IBM researchers along with their competitors at the company, like Google and Microsoft, along with the countless startups around the world, stand to the drive next square-leafed computing, which is giving not computing as horizontal technologies, touches everything. As the Gere told me, we have major implications for progress everything, from the cyber securities to the artificial intelligence to the designing better battery. Oh, okay. Enter the quantum. The best way to understand a quantum computer, short of setting aside several years of grad school and MIT, Caltech, and compare the kind of machines I'm typing these pieces, classical computers. The my MacBook Air M1 chips, which is packed with 16 billion transistors, 16 billion transistors. Each of those transistor can present either the 1 or 0 binary information at a single time. A bit, a sheer number of transistors give the machine its computing power. 16 billion transistors packed onto the 120.5 square meters. Microchip is a lot. So tragically, this is first transistorized computers had fewer than 800. The semiconductor industry's abilities to engineer ever more transistors onto the chip, a trend forecast by the Intel co-founder Gordon Murray. In the law, let's bear his name. Gordon Murray is what made possible exponential growth of computing power, which in turn has made possible pretty much everything else. But there are things classical computers cannot do. They never be able to do, because no matter how many transistors get stuck onto the square silicon in the Taiwan, square to the silicon in the Taiwan semiconductor fabrication plant. Fabrication in industry lingo, so that is where it's unique, frankly weird. The property of quantum computer coming. Instead of bits, quantum computer process information using the qubit, which can represent 0 and 1 simultaneously. How do they do that? They are straining my level of expertise here, but essentially qubits make its quantum mechanical phenomena known as the superpositions, whereby the property of some subatomic particles are not defined until they are measured. Think of the Schrödinger simultaneously dead and alive until you open its box. A single qubit is cute, but things are really exciting when you start adding more classic computing's power increased linearly and with additional each transistor, but the quantum computer's power increased exponentially with the addition of each new reliable qubit. That's because another quantum mechanic property called entanglement, whereby the individual probabilities to each qubit can be affected by other qubits in the system, and all of which mean the upper limit of workable quantum computer power far exceeds would be possible in classical computing. So quantum computer could theoretically solve the problem of the classical computer, no matter how powerful. Never crowd. What kind of problems? How about the fundamental nature of the material realities, which is, after all, ultimately wrong, and quantum mechanics, not classical mechanics, quantum computers simulate problems that we find in nature or chemistry. Say to the name J. Gambetta in IBM, Vice President of Quantum Computing. The quantum computer's crowd simulate the property of the theoretical battery to help design one is far more efficient and powerful than today's versions. They could untangible complex logical problem. Discovery ultimate deliver rules, enhanced forecast for climate science. On the security side, quantum computers, the property battery design powerful today. Quantum computer could simulate the properties theory. Battery help the design one is far more efficient and powerful. Today versions they could untangle complex logical problem, discover the optimal delivery routes, enhance forecast climate science. Security side quantum computers could break cryptography methods, potentially rendering everything from the emails or financial data or national secrets in securities, which is why the race for quantum supremacy is also international competitions. Once the Chinese government is pouring the billions into those concerns, help promote the White House earlier this month to release a new memorandum to the architect national leadership. The quantum computing prepare the countries for the quantum assist cyber security threat. Beyond the security issues, the potential financial upside could be significant. Companies are already offering early quantum computing service. The crowd, the client like Exxon and Enlon, Exxon Mobil, the Spanish bank BBVA. While the global quantum computing market was worth less than 500 million in 2020, International Data Corporation project that is where it reaches 8.6 billion in revenue by the 2027, more than 16 billion in investment. But none of that will be possible possible unless researchers can do the hard engineering work, turning the quantum computer from its still largely scientific experiment into the reliable industry. Kowloon, inside the Watson building, Jerry Cho, who directed IBM experimental quantum computer entrance, opened a 9-foot glass cube and showed something looked like a chandelier made out of gold. IBM Quantum System 1. Much of the chandelier, essentially high-tech fridge coils, carried fluids capable of cooling the hardware in hundreds of degrees Celsius above the absolutely zero cold. Cho told me how outer space refrigeration is key of making IBM quantum computer work. It also demonstrated why doing such engineering challenges, why quantum computers are potentially far more powerful than classic counterpart. Also far. Remember what I said, quantum property, supervisions, and entanglement, why qubit can do things could never dream of slightest variations in a temperature, noisy variations, cause them to lose all the property to something called decoherence. That fancy refrigerations is designed to keep the system qubit from the decoherent before the computer has complete calculations. The very earliest superconducting qubit lost coherence in the less than nanosecond. While today IBM most advanced quantum computer can maintain coherence as many as 400 microsecond. Each is 400 microsecond, each second containing 1 million microseconds. So the challenge IBM, the other company face engineering quantum computers are less errors form. Scaling the system beyond the thousand, even tens of thousands qubit, perhaps million of them. Cho say that. That could be the year. Last year, IBM introduced the Eagle 127 qubit process, the new technique roadmap, and then 432 qubit process called Osprey later this year. 4,000 plus qubit computer by 2025. The quantum computing could move beyond the experimentation phase. The IBM CEO, Arvind Krishna, told the reporter, the press even early the months. Plenty of experts are skeptical that IBM or any competitors will ever get there, raising the possibilities. The engineering problem represent the quantum computers simply too hard for the system, truly reliable. What has happened over the last decade? There has been a tremendous number of claims. The more immediate thing you can do the things quantum computer like solve all these machine learning problem. The Scott Arison, a quantum computers is expert at the University of Texas, told me last year, but this crime at 90% bullshit. So with promise, you are going to need some of revolutionary development. Increasing the digital world further progress will depend on our abilities to get ever more out of the computers we create. Depend on the work and researchers like Chow, his colleague, toiling away in the windowless laboratory achieved revolution, a new development around some of the hardest problem, computer engineering. Wow, super.